This is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Part 3. January 4th, 1992. Dear friend, I'm sorry for that last letter. To tell you the truth, I don't really remember much of it, but I know from how I woke up that it probably wasn't very nice. All I remember from the rest of that night was looking all over the house for an envelope and a stamp. When I finally found them, I wrote your address and walked down the hill, past the trees to the post office, because I knew that if I didn't put it in the mailbox that I couldn't get it back from, I would never mail the letter. It's weird how important it seemed at the time. Once I got to the post office, I dropped the letter into the mailbox, and it felt final and calm. Then I started throwing up, and I didn't stop throwing up until the sun came up. I looked at the road and saw a lot of cars, and I knew they were all going to their grandparents' house, and I knew a lot of them would watch my brother play football later that day, and my mind played hopscotch. My brother, football, Brad, Dave and his girlfriend in my room, the coats, the cold, the winter, autumn leaves, don't tell anyone, you pervert, Sam and Craig, Sam, Christmas, typewriter, gift, Aunt Helen, and the trees kept moving. They just wouldn't stop moving, so I laid down and made a snow angel. The policeman found me pale blue and asleep. I didn't stop shivering from the cold until a long time after my mom and dad drove me home from the emergency room. Nobody got in trouble because these things used to happen to me when I was a kid, when I was seeing the doctors. I would just wander off and fall asleep somewhere. Everyone knew I went to a party, but nobody, not even my sister, thought it was because of that. And I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want Sam or Patrick or Bob or anyone to get in trouble. But most of all, I didn't want to see my mother's face, and especially my father's, if they heard me say the truth. So I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet and looked around, and I noticed things. The dots on the ceiling, or how the blanket they gave me was rough, or how the doctor's face looked rubbery, or how everything was a deafening whisper. When he said that maybe I should start seeing a psychiatrist again. It was the first time a doctor ever told that to my parents with me in the room. And his coat was so white, and I was so tired. All I could think through the whole day was that we missed my brother's football game because of me, and I really hoped my sister thought to tape it. Luckily she did. We got home, and my mom made me some tea, and my dad asked me if I wanted to sit and watch the game, and I said yes. We watched my brother make a great play, but this time nobody really cheered. All corners of all eyes were on me, and my mom said a lot of encouraging things about how I was doing so well this school year, and maybe the doctor would help me sort things out. My mom can be quiet and talk at the same time when she's being positive. My dad kept giving me love pats. Love pats are soft punches of encouragement that are administered on the knee, shoulder, and arm. My sister said that she couldn't help me fix up my hair. My sister said that she could help me fix up my hair. It was weird to have them pay so much attention to me. What do you mean? What's wrong with my hair? My sister just kind of looked around, uncomfortable. I reached my hands up to my hair and realized that a lot of it was gone. I honestly don't remember when I did it, but from the look of my hair, I must have grabbed a pair of scissors and just started cutting without strategy. Big chunks of it were missing all over the place. It was like a butcher's cut. I hadn't looked at myself in the mirror at the party for a long time because my face was different and frightened me, or else I would have noticed. My sister did help me trim it up a bit, and I was lucky because everyone in school, including Sam and Patrick, thought it looked cool. Cheek was Patrick's word. Regardless, I decided to never take LSD again. Love always, Charlie. January 14th, 1992. Dear friend, I feel like a big faker because I've been putting my life back together and nobody knows. It's hard to sit in my bedroom and read like I always did. It's even hard to talk to my brother on the phone. His team finished third in the nation. Nobody told him we missed the game live because of me. I went to the library and checked out a book because I was getting scared. Every now and then, things would start moving again, and sounds were bass-heavy and hollow, and I couldn't put a thought together. The book said that sometimes people take LSD and they don't really get out of it. They said that it increases this one type of brain transmitter. They said that essentially the drug is 12 hours of schizophrenia, and if you already have a lot of this brain transmitter, you don't get out of it. I started breathing fast in the library. It was really bad because I remembered some of the schizophrenic kids in the hospital when I was little, and it didn't help that this was the day after I noticed that all the kids were wearing their new Christmas clothes. So I decided to wear my new suit from Patrick to school and was teased mercilessly for 9 straight hours. It was such a bad day. I skipped my first class ever and went to see Sam and Patrick outside. "Looking sharp, Charlie," Patrick said, grinning. "Can I have a cigarette?" I said. I couldn't bring myself to say bum a smoke. Not for my first one. I just couldn't. "Sure," said Patrick. Sam stopped him. "What's wrong, Charlie?" I told them what was wrong, which prompted Patrick to keep asking me if I had a bad trip. No, it's not that." I was really getting upset. Sam put her arm around my shoulder, and she said she knew what I was going through. She told me I shouldn't worry about it. Once you do it, you remember how things looked on it, that's all. Like how the road turned into waves, and how your face was plastic and your eyes were 2 different sizes. It's all in your mind. That's when she gave me the cigarette. When I lit it, I didn't cough. It actually felt soothing. I know that's bad in a health class way, but it was true. "Now focus on the smoke," Sam said, and I focused on the smoke. "Now, that looks normal, doesn't it?" "Uh-huh," I think I said. "Now, look at the cement on the playground. Is it moving?" "Uh-huh." "Okay, now focus on the piece of paper that's just sitting there on the ground." And I focused on the piece of paper that was sitting on the ground. "Is the cement moving now?" "No, it's not." "From there you go, till you're going to be okay, till you probably should never do acid again." Sam went on to explain what she called the trance. The trance happens when you don't focus on anything and the whole big picture swallows and moves around you. She said it was usually metaphoric, but for people who should never do acid again, it was literal. That's when I started laughing. I was so relieved, and Sam and Patrick smiled. I was glad they started smiling too, because I couldn't stand there looking so worried. Things have stopped moving for the most part ever since. I haven't skipped another class, and I guess now I don't feel like a big faker for trying to put my life back together. Bill thought my paper on The Catcher in the Rye, which I wrote on my new old typewriter, was my best one yet. He said I was developing at a rapid pace and gave me a different kind of book as a reward. It's On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I'm now up to about 10 cigarettes a day. Love always, Charlie. January 25th, 1992. Dear friend, I feel great. I really mean it. I have to remember this for the next time I'm having a terrible week. Have you ever done that? You feel really bad and then it goes away and you don't know why. I try to remind myself when I feel great like this that there will be another terrible week coming someday, so I should store up as many great details as I can. So during the next terrible week, I can remember those details and believe that I'll feel great again. It doesn't work a lot, but I think it's very important to try. My psychiatrist is a very nice man. He's much better than my last psychiatrist. We talk about things that I feel and think and remember, like when I was little, and there was this one time that I walked down the street in my neighborhood. I was completely naked, holding a bright blue umbrella, even though it wasn't raining, and I was so happy because it made my mom smile. And she rarely smiled. So she took a picture, and the neighbors complained. This other time, I saw a commercial for this movie about a man who was accused of murder, but he didn't commit the murder. A guy from MASH was the star of the movie. That's probably why I remember it. The commercial said that the whole movie was about him trying to prove that he was innocent and how he could go to jail anyway. That scared me a lot. It scared me how much it scared me, being punished for something you did not do, or being an innocent victim. It's just something that I never want to experience. I don't know if it is important to tell you all this, but at the time it felt like a breakthrough. The best thing about my psychiatrist is that he has music magazines in his waiting room. I read an article about Nirvana on one visit, and it didn't have any references to honey mustard dressing or lettuce. They kept talking about the singer's stomach problems all the time, though. It was weird. Like I told you, Sam and Patrick love their big song, so I thought I'd read it to have something to discuss with them. In the end, the magazine compared him with John Lennon from the Beatles. I told that to Sam later, and she got really mad. She said he was like Jim Morrison if he was like anybody, but really, he isn't like anybody but himself. We were all at the Big Boy after Rocky Horror, and it started this big discussion. Craig said the problem with things is that everyone is always comparing everyone with everyone, and because of that, it discredits people, like in his photography classes. Bob said that it was all about our parents not wanting to let go of their youth and how it kills them when they can't relate to something. Patrick said that the problem was that since everything has happened already, it makes it hard to break new ground. Nobody can be as big as the Beatles because the Beatles already gave it a context. The reason they were so big is that they had no one to compare themselves with, so the sky was the limit. Sam added that nowadays a band or someone would compare themselves to the Beatles after the second album, and their own personal voice would be less from that moment on. What do you think, Charlie? I couldn't remember where I heard it or read it. I said maybe it was in This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. There's a place near the end of the book where the main kid is picked up by some older gentleman. They were both going to an Ivy League homecoming football game, and they have this debate. The older gentleman is established. The kid is jaded. Anyway, they have this discussion, and the kid is an idealist in a temporary way. He talks about his restless generation and things like that, and he says something like, "This is not a time for heroes because nobody will let that happen." The book takes place in the 1920s, which I thought was great because I supposed the same kind of conversation could happen in the Big Boy. It probably already did with our parents and grandparents. It was probably happening with us right now. So I said I thought the magazine was trying to make him a hero, but then later somebody might dig up something to make him seem like less than a person, and I didn't know why, because to me he is just a guy who writes songs that a lot of people like, and I thought that was enough for everyone involved. Maybe I was wrong, but everyone at the table started talking about it. Sam blamed television, Patrick blamed government, Craig blamed the corporate media. Bob was in the bathroom. I don't know what it was, and I know we didn't really accomplish anything, but it felt great to sit there and talk about our place in things. It was like when Bill told me to participate. I went to the homecoming dance like I told you before, but this was much more fun. It was especially fun to think that people all over the world were having similar conversations in their equivalent of the Big Boy. I would have told the table that, but they were really having fun being cynical, and I didn't want to ruin it. So I just sat back a little bit and watched Sam sitting next to Craig and tried not to be too sad about it. I have to say that I couldn't do it very successfully, but at one point Craig was talking about something, and Sam turned to me and smiled. It was a movie smile in slow motion, and then everything was okay. I told this to my psychiatrist, but he said it was too soon to draw any conclusions. I don't know. I just had a great day. I hope you did too. Love always, Charlie.